My name is Lucy Curley and I am a social media consultant and lifestyle blogger based in London, but I travel all around the world, and I'm very fortunate to be able to work for myself. So I went freelance about a year and a half ago now, after working full time and doing my blog for the last 8 years. My blog is called Lucy Loves. I cover everything from food, fitness, fashion, lifestyle, travel, beauty, art, um, other life topics as well if I'm getting a bit deep and talking about things that are affecting me. It's an amazing job, and no 2 days are the same, never mind 2 weeks. You don't have to be tied to a desk. If working 9 to 5 doesn't suit you and you're more of a night owl, then being a freelancer is definitely for you. And my freelance business is called Agent K, and the K is after my surname, Curley. I provide social media consultancy to businesses, individuals, other bloggers who are looking to expand their knowledge of social media and also look at different business goals and objectives that they want to achieve. No 2 days are the same for me, really, but my life is pretty much ruled by my calendar. At the beginning of the week, I'll look and go, okay, so I know on Wednesday this week I'm going to a dinner event. Thursday I'm doing a photo shoot with James, or Friday I've got a concert or something like that. Saturday, I've got to catch up on emails and admin. And that's one of the things that you have to be aware of, is that because you work for yourself, you don't work 9 to 5, so you don't really switch off in the same way that you can do if you've got a steady income. On the plus side, it means that I wake up in the morning, check my phone, and obviously because I use Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Snapchat, YouTube, my Tumblr, trying to think what else. Well, so many different social media channels that I have a presence on. Some of them I use for personal reasons, some of them I use for my blog, but one of the things that I have to do is obviously check emails, see if there's any responses from potential consultancy work. I also have to check and see if there's any blog invitations or briefs that have come in for different collaborations and partnerships. I would say on a daily basis I probably receive over 50 emails. When you work for yourself and you don't have a team of people to do different tasks, you do become the PA, you become the stylist, you become the photographer, you become the consultant, the model, everything. And it means that you have to really know how to sell yourself. You then have to break down actually what is it that they're expecting from this particular collaboration. How long is it going to take you? When does it start? What other priorities and commitments have you got on at the same time? And also, what budget have they got? I studied BA Hons Visual Communication at university. As a degree, for somebody who's looking to get into a creative career, it's amazing because you get to learn and appreciate graphic design, advertising, typography, filmmaking, photography, fashion, all kinds of illustration, animation, and much, much more. It meant that going into other jobs, like the job I did at Kew Gardens, I had an appreciation and an understanding that many people on my team didn't. So I was able to take the lead with certain projects, whether it was commissioning an illustrator, whether it was actually, giving feedback on some branding that we were having done for a campaign, or, working with different street artists. I had extra knowledge that lots of people didn't have. I did a BTEC foundation diploma in art and design at Liverpool, the Arts Centre, and that was fantastic. But before that, I did my A-levels, so I went to sixth form, and I did media studies, psychology, art, and English literature. At AS level, and then just carried on with the art, media studies, and psychology at A level. And I achieved, I think it was like BBC or something. And then my GCSEs, I did all right. I think I got like four Bs, four Cs, two As. I've always been quite creative, so I knew that the creative route was something I wanted to go down, despite doing a work experience placement at a solicitor's office when I was in year 10. And the law route was something that fascinated me. And I left university and I did an internship at Magnum Photos, which is one of the world's best, if not the best, documentary photography agency. So I decided to go home, do a couple of part-time admin jobs, gave me a little bit of time to save up some extra money, and I moved down to London, and it was incredible. So the first job that I got, like a serious job, was as a school portrait photographer, which when you think of the glamour and the kind of the adventures that a documentary photographer might go on, school portrait photographer in comparison is, you know, it's a little bit like, well, I don't know, I want to say maybe going to work in McDonald's or something when you've got ambitions of owning your own burger restaurant. So, yep, people skills there was a little box that was ticked. And then I saw a job for a film archive, and it was a heritage lottery funded program digitising old cine films, so old home movies, travelling around the country. And basically, the title of that role was Curator for Community and Acquisition. That job I found on the Guardian Jobs website, which actually I found my last two serious jobs on the Guardian Jobs website and under the like arts and heritage section. It wasn't until I was at the film archive and I was kind of first of all getting to grips with social media that I understood the importance of visually sharing snippets from the projects. And so I set up the blog for the film archive, and I would also manage their Twitter as well. And then as my project was coming to an end there after about 2.5 years, I saw the job at Kew Gardens, the Royal Botanic Gardens, for a digital participation manager. And it was a brand new project called Grow Wild, which was basically encouraging people around the UK to sow and grow more UK native wildflower seeds. And one of our target audiences was 12 to 25-year-olds, and they looked at the work that I'd done around the same time as getting the job at the film archive. I'd started my blog, and I ended up being headhunted on Twitter by a creative agency. So for 2 years, I was doing my full-time job and I was also blogging in the evenings and at the weekend. And then when I saw the job advertised in London at Kew Gardens and they looked at everything I'd done, it wasn't just about, you know, the proper job at the film archive. It was actually, what other skills has she got? That she can use social media, she can engage with people, she can shoot photography, she's interested in design, she has good people skills. So that really made a difference, I think, towards me getting that role. One of the most challenging things about working for yourself is the fact that if you don't work, then where's the money going to come from? And you're constantly trying to improve yourself as well. One of the challenges is to find downtime as well. That work-life balance can become a bit skewed. I find it very helpful if I exercise, so I do a lot of like home workouts and stuff just to switch off. I would say I was probably a bit of a goody two-shoes, a bit scared of being a rebel. I was never really one of the naughty ones, but then I was friends with some of the naughty ones, and I was friends with some of the cool kids, and I was friends with some of the people who were a bit geeky. And I was always in the middle, really. That's one of the things that makes me tick, is people. If you have people skills and you're able to talk to anyone, then that will make you stand out. And that's something that has carried me to where I am today, is my ability to have a good conversation with somebody. There are an amazing number of groups for people who work in digital and work in technology to meet up and be inspired by other people who do similar things. A number of different women in tech groups. So you've got W Collective, who are now called Circle. You've also got Girls in Tech. There are mentoring events you can do at like 10 Downing Street. You can go to Google Campus for their first Thursday of every month. There's a Women at Campus event where you go along and you talk about something you're working on, what you need help with, and then at the end you after going around the room and hearing what other people are there for, you can then network and say, I can help you, can you help me? Oh, the Women of the World festival that I went to, which is on every year at South Bank Centre, and you have an incredible number of inspiring speakers, politicians, artists, all discussing being a woman in the world that we live in today and some of the challenges and issues that we face and the things that we can do to make a difference. If you're a bit stuck as to what kind of job you want to do, or you want to make a change to the life you're living at the minute, then this is the book for you. So it's called Do Disrupt, and this is basically a book from the Do Books series. It's by Mark Shaler. I own a few of the Do books now, and I like to get books that are going to help me improve myself and the way I do things. It'll take you probably about 40 minutes to read it cover to cover, but it does have a series of exercises as well in it that will really make you sit down and think, okay, what is it that makes you tick as a person? What is it that could make you a bit of money? And what is it that you can do differently, or you can do that nobody else can? Another thing that I can't stress enough is, as a freelancer, as somebody who works for themselves, and even as somebody who doesn't, somebody who works full time or somebody who's just starting out in their career, building your networks is incredibly important. You have to think about where the work is and where the work opportunities might come from. Another really important thing about your network is that you have a lot of time on your own. If you're working from home like me, or if you're working from a co-working space or a client's office, and sometimes you'll want to turn around and you'll want to ask a colleague a question, but when it's just you don't have that luxury. So my other blogger friends and my school friends, uni friends, they're the people that I turn to, as well as my mum, when I have something that I need to put out there and get a bit of feedback on. I would say, make the most of the time you have now to build that network up, to create your LinkedIn profile, to sell yourself in the best way you can, because it's vital. And if you're active and you're engaging with a particular platform, so for instance, I'll give you an example. When I first started working for myself, I went onto LinkedIn and I changed my job title to freelance, creative digital strategist, etc. And somebody that I'd worked with in a previous role saw that I was now working for myself and that I was available to contract. And they got in touch with me and said they needed some additional help on a project. One of the things that I enjoy most about working for myself is the freedom that I get, and the fact that I'm basically a digital nomad, which means I can work anywhere in the world. Often, if a brand doesn't come to you and say, oh, do you want this opportunity, you make your own opportunity so that people can see an example of the work that you've created and they can go, actually, we'd like her to do something like that for us. In order to get to where I am today, so I'm 31, so I'm 16 years on from you guys. 16 years! It makes me sound like a fossil. And I just want to read off some of the jobs that I did prior to being here. So I started off at about 14, 15 working in a garden centre as a shop assistant. Then I was a Saturday girl in a hair salon. Then I was a sales assistant in Scott Sports. Then I worked in telephone banking for Abbey, the bank. I worked in a call centre doing cold calling. I was an auction girl, like this. I was a school portrait photographer, a documentary photographer, a recruitment consultant, a sales assistant at Gucci, and they gave me a really fancy suit with a little scarf, but then they wanted me to work over Christmas, and my mum was like, no, I want you to come home. So I left. I worked at university, throughout university, at a newspaper call centre, checking people had got their free newspaper delivered. I was a supply teacher. I was an admin assistant at a doctor's surgery, a social media manager at Kew Gardens. I was a blogger at a shopping centre. I was a curator at a film archive. I was a receptionist at a car garage. I've done that a couple of times. I've been a waitress, a barwoman, a model, and a fashion photographer's assistant, a mentor, a friend. There's no right path, really. There's no journey that you must go on to get where you need to be. I think make the most of every opportunity. Do the jobs that get you a bit of money. And just remember that they're not always forever. Something better will come. If I was to give advice to my 15-year-old self now, it would be, okay, Lucy, do you remember at school when you were really good at running? And then boys came along and you kind of forgot about running and you didn't quite realise your potential. Well, maybe spend less time with the boys and more time running and you never know what you can achieve. Because now, looking back, I think I probably did have athletic potential, but I wasn't really pushing myself. Other advice I would give myself is cherish those friendships that you've got at school. Work hard, be nice to people, be kind, because being kind is one of the loveliest things that you can be, and it costs nothing. And it's something that, you know, even to this day, there's good deeds and good things that you'll do for other people that years from now somebody will come back to you when you need them, when you need somebody, and they'll never forget that kind of thing that you did for them. So always bear that in mind. And that if in doubt, ask for help, ask for advice, ask people who are already doing the job that you want to do. What's it really like and how did you get there? Because those are the things that will help you decide whether or not it's for you. And as I said before, the most important thing is that you're happy. So best of luck. I think one of the most important things to remember is that when I was 15, I didn't know what I wanted to be. I didn't know what I could be. Like, my job that I do now didn't even exist when I was 15. I think that's one of the really important things to remember, is that the world changes so fast, and the careers that you know, could end up going into may only, you know, actually be born in the next few years. So make the most of every opportunity that you've got now to learn new skills. You know, look at your digital footprint. Look at what you use social media for at the moment, because if you're about to go into a job or into some kind of career, look at what a stranger's first impression of you would be if they just saw your social media profiles. If you use loads of bad language, if you talk, you know, in a horrible way about people, if you've got stuff up there you wouldn't really want your parents to see, never mind a future employer, then do a bit of pruning now and get rid of all that stuff so that you put your best self forward. I think it is okay to not know what you want. And it's still okay, like, you know, on a daily basis, I look and go, okay, so I'm doing this now, but where am I going to be in 5 years? And I don't know. And the most important thing to remind yourself is that health and happiness are everything. You know, if you've got a good network of friends and you've got a good family, then that's what's important. Just look after that, and then the rest will come, as long as you work hard and you put your effort in and you are nice to people and you have good manners and you make every possible attempt to take up opportunities that come your way. Excel at that hobby that you love. Why not start a blog? Why not document your hobby that you love? Why not create a YouTube channel? If it's something that's about you sharing your passions and you feel like you've got a purpose, then that's one of the best things that you can ever experience. If you've got any questions and you're interested in finding out more about blogging or working in social media consultancy, then drop me a line. If you want to get in touch, my blog is lucyloves.co.uk, and that's LUCIELOVES.co.uk. On Instagram, I am Lucy Loves again, and on Twitter, I am Lucy Curley. But yeah, I look forward to hearing from you.